And welcome back. We are about to go directly into our first segment, the Belize Zoo and World Tapir Day. Everybody knows when it comes to the tapir. These folks do a wonderful job in introducing it to us. Now, World Tapir Day is going to be on April 27th. Is that today? I'm not sure. But in with us to tell us more is Jamal Andrewin, who is, of course, education at the Belize Zoo, takes care of education at the Belize Zoo, and Celso Poot, who is director of Belize Tapir Project. Guys, good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Where
Thank
is
you for
the
having
tapir?
us.
There's no baby tapir here. What happened?
We got a lineup, John. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's nice to have you guys in World Tapir Day. How big is this, guys?
So World Tapir Day is celebrated globally on April 27th. It is an initiative by the Tapir Specialist Group and the Tapir Preservation Fund. Basically set April 27th annually, where tapir enthusiasts across the world celebrate tapirs. We have 4 species of tapirs globally, and so globally Tapir Specialist Group members, zoos, researchers celebrate the importance of tapirs.
Nice. So what's the what do they do for environment, and why would we want to celebrate World Tapir Day? Normally when you hear a day, it's because this individual or that animal has done something significant to the contribution of an environment. What do they do for us?
So apart from being our national animal, tapirs are the last megafauna in this area in the Americas. They're the largest.
Megafauna?
Yeah, big animal.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's the word.
Yeah, we like English.
And so the last big animal in this area, they are what we refer to as forest gardeners, because they help with reforestation of deforested area by eating fruits and dispersing the seeds. They're also referred to as nutrient recyclers because they eat a lot of food and they walk about the forest and they poop this food, and it's then turned back into nutrients in the environment. So they're nutrient recyclers, they're forest gardeners. They're important for us.
So interesting when you break down their contribution that way.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think one, obviously, the dominant feature is it being our national animal.
Yeah.
And we have seen so often where we talk about the tapir and how much we celebrate it, but how much do we actually know about the threats and the current population at this point in time? I know there is the Tapir Project. We had the launching of the special book the other day.
Right.
Talk to us about what we know about what's happening outside of the protected areas.
So globally, not much is known about the tapirs. They're a secretive animal. And I can tell you that because I've been trying to capture them for the last 2 years, and as much as I know and study their movement using trail cameras, they're still hard to capture. We know a little bit about their movement, how they're using the landscape through cameras, setting up trail cameras, through collaborative work with other researchers in the region. We're looking at their distribution. Our species of tapir, the Baird's tapir, is found from southern Mexico all the way down to Colombia.
Wow.
Has a wide range, and it is an endangered species. Population models show that there are about 5,000 mature individuals remaining in the wild from southern Mexico down to northern Colombia.
That's how far they travel?
That's their range, their home range.
Okay.
So on the average, they need about 2.5 square kilometers, more or less, to survive on the average.
Okay.
We don't know much about them here in Belize, and so the Belize Tapir Project, other researchers in Belize are looking at how tapirs are using the landscape in Belize, both in space, like what area, and in time, what part of the year are they using certain areas in the country.
And how are you gathering this information?
So initially we started out with camera trapping, but that can only tell you so much because tapirs, unlike the jaguars who have unique patterns on their skin, you can identify them in trail cameras. Tapirs, you can't do that. So through a grant from the Protected Areas Conservation Trust, we trap them, fit them with a GPS color, and then have the GPS color work for us. We can see where they're moving across the landscape.
Okay. And since it's early into the project, what have you been able to discover so far?
Well, we are focusing currently in the central Belize district area near Boom, Ladyville, Hattieville. And one of the main reasons is there's a high incidence of vehicle collision with them. And we want to know why.
Why are they crossing the road?
Why they're crossing the road. We know for a fact because we've done some speed surveys to show that speeding is a big problem in the area.
Yeah.
So we put up these road crossing signs. Unfortunately, they keep stealing them. They keep removing them.
Well, I mean, how often do you encounter a sign that says Tapir crossing, right?
Yeah.
But
No
but
excuses.
they have been very effective. We've seen a reduction in collision incidents.
Yeah.
It also complemented by an awareness campaign, being on the Boom Road and handing out information about what's happening. Tapirs are using the road, and just maintaining that constant awareness of them.
It's interesting because don't wild animals normally want to stay away from areas that are developed or populated?
So one of the things I did was I did a survey back in 2010 with the elders in the Boom area. And
Okay.
they said that tapirs have been living there ever since.
Oh.
They know. So what is happening is that new development going into those areas is pushing tapirs out of their natural area and causing them to have to go a farther distance in search of food and water. But also we're having the impacts of climate change. We're getting longer dry season, so they have to go farther. Also, we're getting bushfires. Last year we had one incident that was directly related to bushfire. You had a bushfire passing through and tapir running from the fire. He got hit by a car.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so all of those are some of the factors that we're facing right now with tapirs.
Do we
Now,
have
the most of the knowledge that we all tend to have as Belizeans about tapir, we get from the zoo. And you had before, of course, our superstar April, who passed on.
Yeah.
But it was really an opportunity for us to encounter what the tapir looks like, see the type of food, and get some education. Talk to us about the program at the Belize Zoo.
So the beauty of what the zoo provides is it's a strong complement to everything that Celso has talked about. Because for the researchers in this field, it's a no-brainer. We're committed to the wildlife we study or we want to preserve. We don't need to see one every day to know that they need to be saved.
Yeah.
Apart from the villagers that say that they've been there for many years and so on, people in rural areas have a higher chance of seeing them.
Yeah.
But even though they're such a big animal, as we've learned, they're very elusive. They keep to themselves. And so for your average Belizean, I mean, how often can you say, oh, I've seen a wild tapir, right? Especially, unfortunately, for the very motorists that are causing their decline. That's probably the first time they've ever seen one, and it's under their bumper, right?
Yeah.
Apart from having the opportunity to see one up close in the zoo. So the zoo provides this, I like to use the term living classroom, where you can connect both local and international visitors to our national heritage, our natural and national heritage, but using our national animal as a rallying point. So it's really where you can reinforce all these concepts that are a little bit more abstract when you're out on the roadside or in the field trying to push for advocacy or even a little bit more awareness about why these animals need to be preserved, right?
Yeah.
If you can have someone have the opportunity to be a couple feet away from one and possibly even feed one or meet a cute baby one, right?
Yeah.
That's when you start pulling on the heartstrings and it really gets people to pay attention and be committed to being part of the process of saving them, right? Not just, oh yeah, somebody else is saving our national animal, that's great.
Yeah.
It should be something that every Belizean is inspired to be a part of in some small way, whether it be just simply reporting when they see one knocked down or they see one active in their village, just calling up the Belize Tapir Project or the zoo and excitedly reporting it, not wanting anything to be done, but just saying, hey, I see tapirs, so at least we have a better scope of where they are in the country,
Yeah.
or coming to the events that focus on these animals and being part of it and bringing up the next generation, their children or their students, to be part of that process.
How many tapirs do you have at the zoo?
Well, it was 7 until 2 weeks ago when.
Wow.
You have a
what
new
happened?
baby?
Yes, so
Ah.
our big, as you all know, April was the rallying point for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
And then we handed over to Fuego, the tapir, who was an orphan that coincidentally was also born in April. So it was a good segue into carrying on the baton from April. So Fuego, there he is. So he's become the
There
new
you go.
superstar.
Look, so photogenic
Oh.
already.
Right. But now, up until 2 weeks ago, he was the new tapir superstar. So Fuego and our female tapir Navidad recently gave birth to a little watermelon, right? All spotted
Ah.
and striped, as you saw.
Oh my
There you
God.
go.
Oh,
I know.
And I would tell you the name, but we don't know what it is yet. Because what we're doing,
What do you mean you don't know what it is yet?
we're letting the Belizean public decide.
Decide.
So right now,
Oh.
as we speak,
I
there's
thought
a
you were talking
poll.
about the sex of the
No,
animals.
no. So we know he's a boy.
Okay, thank you.
But
Boy.
what we did, we thought, again, it's National Animal of Belize, National and World Tapir Day
Yeah.
are coming up. Because we did start an initiative that was endorsed by the Office of the Prime Minister to celebrate National Tapir Day.
Yeah,
So you don't see it on calendars, but we think it's an official day, right?
yeah.
So we decided to really build civic pride or national pride in our natural heritage to open up the floor for the Belizean public to be part of the process. So our staff at the zoo, the primary caregivers of the baby,
Oh,
put
man.
forward their top 3 names, right? And all of them have a significance. So right now, if you're to go on social media, you can vote
Okay.
for either Sparks.
Uh-huh.
So it's paying homage to Fuego, which gives off sparks, right?
Yes.
Fire gives off sparks. So Sparks, Abril as a kind of a tip of the hat to April,
Uh-huh.
and Toffee, because if I remember correctly, the reasoning was he's a tough and strong tapir and very, very, very strong individual, strong personality. So Sparks, Toffee, and Abril are the
Which one is leading right now?
right now by a fraction Sparks. But that's
I'm
not
a brill for me.
There you go.
I need to go on and vote.
You do. So this is an opportunity for us to encourage everyone who's listening or watching to go up and vote. And the tie-in or the catch will be
Yeah.
on Saturday when we celebrate National Tapir Day.
Oh man.
We will have, this will be the first time that the baby will be seen by the public. We'll bring down the barriers and there'll be a big kind of unveiling of Navidad, the mom and her and her calf.
Yeah.
And we'll also reveal what the winning name was on the day.
Excellent.
So we won't know until most of the country as well.
What we do have with us is a 50-second segment introducing him to the public.
Oh, we
So
get
if,
to
if
see
the
that?
studio can play that for us, just
With the sound. The sound
So
is
we get to
important.
see
yeah,
in
just so,
video.
yeah.
Yeah.
I thought
do
you
that
were
here.
going to bring him. You know, sometimes a name is based on their
Yeah,
personality,
well,
how they behave.
You know, you have to when you take children that are minors, you have to get the parents to sign and
Oh,
all that.
Navidad said
Yeah.
no?
Navidad did not
Navidad.
sign, so we did not get permission.
so they are very, very protective, the mothers,
Yeah.
and also we don't want to. Yeah.
song?
So
Okay,
Yeah.
we're going to get it up.
Yeah, we'll get it.
But let me ask you a question. How long does the calf nurse with the mom? How long is she protective over
Very
the,
good
the
question.
baby?
So here is one of the challenge with tapirs and their reproductive rate.
Uh-huh.
They're what we refer to as low reproductive rate animals. So
Yeah.
it take a while
Well,
for
before
them
they
to
have another,
reproduce.
yes.
So they have a gestation period, or they're pregnant for like 13 months.
Whoa.
13.
13 months. They stay with mom another year,
Oh, wow.
learning the way of life as a tapir. So we're having tapirs like in the wild, you would say once every 3 years.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's- yeah.
It reminds me of the manatee. That's why I asked that question,
Yes,
because the
it's very
manatee
long.
fascinates me how long it
Yeah.
takes. And
Yeah.
so the tapir is similar.
Yeah.
So Navidad is going to be keeping an eye on
On
to be
On-
named
yeah.
baby.
Yes. on the
Determined.
watermelon for quite a while. Yeah, for probably a year, even a bit more since they're in captivity.
All right.
All right,
Well,
so
let's meet
yeah.
the baby, right?
Oh, there you go.
That's like 50 pounds.
All right, there we go. So we're back. But you know, we're looking at it, and that's a bundle of joy.
Yes.
Indeed. You know, I feel just looking at the video, I feel so close to it, especially that it's our national animal.
I would tell you,
Absolutely.
Jamal
My
looks
gosh.
like a proud father here too.
Both of them look like proud dads.
But I have to say, you know, baby animals always catch people, but
yes.
trying not to be biased, I think baby tapirs are at least the top 3
Yeah.
In terms of beauty, in terms of
More
cutest
than puppies.
animals
Oh,
in the
my
world.
God,
Wild,
look at it,
all right,
look
wild
at it.
animals. Let's
Okay.
separate the categories.
All right.
You know, one of the
But-
things I wanted to know is, you know, especially in terms of keeping up with the educational process of
Right.
tapirs, and when I was thinking about it this morning, I said, why, how did it become our national animal?
Very good question, John. Actually, we just did a lecture series along with Niche at UB, and there's no reference as to why the tapir was chosen as a national animal. But the one thing I can tell you, it's a very important species in our natural history. It plays a very important role in our country's ecosystem.
And tourism, I would say as well.
Of course.
Because they're one of the big ones that people would hope to see when they come to Belize, right?
So a lot of
So you're
tourists.
you're going to integrate the calf into as much of your education programs as possible.
Absolutely.
And you spoke of making it an interactive process as
Correct.
well, including monitoring his growth.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
So this is more on Celso's front, but one of the strong points with zoos now, especially zoos that have a profile for advocating for conservation of the species they have in captivity in the wild, is that we can yield incredible data on site. We have ready access to these animals at all times, and within reason we can collect growth data, behavioral data that complements what people are seeing in the wild. And this is where a lot of researchers in the field, we can help fill those gaps of their knowledge, right? Stuff that they can't see because they're not constantly able, as Celso pointed out, it's not easy to always find the animal you're looking for.
Yeah.
So our staff, our zookeepers are constantly monitoring, you know, hour by hour, its behavioral, it changes over time, both physically and behaviorally, mentally, and how it interacts with its mother and the other tapirs nearby.
So for us, it would have been real cool to compare data because in this study site, we have 2 tapirs with babies. Sadly, last week, Friday, one of the baby got knocked down and
Oh my.
killed.
Yes.
And then Saturday, one of my friend was riding his bike and he said, there's a dead tapir on the Boom Road as well. And I said, well, maybe it's the baby because we couldn't find the baby.
Yeah.
So this is the baby that got knocked down last week, Thursday night, Friday morning.
Yeah.
And a little distance down from it, the following day, we found the mother. I'm assuming it's the mother,
She probably went looking for the
partially
baby.
decomposed. So she probably got hit first, and the
First.
baby was wandering on the road
Word.
Oh.
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and got hit.
Oh my God.
We have some images of the last time we captured mother and baby in our field site. So this is another
And they
one.
were
This is
tagged?
another mother baby that was born in the study site, but this wasn't the one that was impacted by the vehicle collision. But here we had 2 baby tapir in the wild, who we can compare
And
with
see how
the
they
one
grow
in the
with
zoo
the one in
and see
captivity.
how they're
Yeah.
growing. Yeah,
So this
so-
one.
Yes, this one. This
That's
is
the
the
one.
one that got knocked. This one was yeah, and we have a video also of the baby and the
How-
mom
how old
passing
was
our
it?
trail camera. He born late December, early January.
Okay.
We just saw him pop up one day in the cameras. So
There you
that's
go.
mom,
You mean you couldn't tell she was
And-
pregnant after 13 months?
There he is.
and there's the
That's the
baby.
baby.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. So we recorded them April
And after
9th.
4 months, that's huge. That's a.
So,
Yes.
Yeah, they grow very fast.
Yeah.
how many tapirs have been born into captivity so far?
Here at the zoo, this watermelon is number 2. We've only had one other
Wow.
in the entire history of the zoo.
And
For
those
us.
that are in captivity, how did they end up there?
So,
How do you make that decision whether you keep them in a study
Or
station
just-
or
yeah.
put them in the zoo?
well, all the ones we have at the zoo are the ones that have come in as either confiscations or rescues. Most of them came as very young calves, like that
Okay.
size.
Okay.
And so that whole aspect of them being raised by their mother for a year and a half, almost 2 in the wild, is removed.
Okay.
And so there's no possibility of reintroducing a calf that's been around people for so long and expecting it to thrive on its own and know to have that separation from
Yes.
people.
yeah.
So unfortunately, none of them can be released. from cast. April was one that was in critical condition when she first came in. The other oldest tapir we have in the zoo right now is Bullet Head, who was, as his name implies, shot in the head in the early 90s. Full-grown tapir, shot and was rendered blind. So he survived the bullet wound, but he's unable
blind.
to see. So he's in semi-retirement at the zoo at the
And
moment.
how old is he?
If he's not 30 yet, he's very close, because he was an adult when we got him in the 90s, and we couldn't gauge his age, specifically.
Precisely.
But he's would have been pretty close to April in age.
Now, the benefit of celebrating a Tapir Day and having a conversation like this is that we can educate the public as to what we can do to help to preserve the population that we do have. And
Correct.
obviously, one of the threats that we hear consistently are people knocking down
Yes.
Vehicle
tapirs,
collisions.
specifically on the Boom Road.
Yeah.
Talk to us about areas where people need to be on the lookout for tapirs potentially crossing, and if there's any tips other than slowing down, I'm sure.
One of the challenges that the tapir has a dark skin,
Yes.
dark
Yeah.
coat,
Blended.
and it
Look almost like the
blends
asphalt.
with the road.
It's not gonna be like a jaguar.
I'm
where
sure
we spot
nobody
it.
wants to intentionally hit a tapir.
Yeah.
Right? Because also you're hitting something that's about 500 pounds,
Which will damage your car.
which will damage
Yeah.
your car, and you can easily get injured as well. But speeding, that's a challenge. I mean, the time you have to brake when you see a tapir in front of you is very small. So it's just for drivers to be extra cautious when traveling the road at night,
And
because
respect the speed limit.
all across Belize, animals cross the road. Some are more adapted to human environments, so
Yeah.
they don't mind crossing during the day. Others wait until there's like no movement, there's silence, and they do it. They cross the road. Because animals move across the landscape for different reasons, for food, for
Agrees.
water, for mate, different things.
Agrees. But is it the entire stretch of road, the Broom Road, that that these things occur, or is there one specific area that we would see these activities?
We
these
got
type of
3
activities?
hot spots.
Uh-huh.
One is just, where the cement part is on the Boom Road, right after the Boom Bridge. There's a natural corridor that jaguars pass, jaguarundis pass, tapirs pass. That's one of the hot spots. The other hot spot is where like there's several curves. There's a pile of sand just after the dump site, and then the other one is just before the prison.
Wow.
So, yeah, so
Those
we
are
have
the
3
key
sites on the Boom Road where they cross regularly.
So currently, what you're doing is kind of an awareness process in addition to your signs when people leave them up.
Yeah.
But have you ever had conversations and putting in speed bumps, maybe to
Yeah.
force people to slow down a bit in some of these areas?
It is something that we will have to consider now,
Yeah.
seeing that we're still getting more collision, more mortality on the road. So it's
How many
something we have to-
collisions do you see per year?
Initially, it used to be about 4 or 5 for the year, and then it slowed down after the signs went up. Last year we had 1. This year, in 1 month, we had 2. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But we one of the things that I think needs to be respected is that tourism is the biggest part of our country, and when people come here, they want to go to the Belize Zoo. They want to see what's there. They want to learn about our animals, and I think one of the biggest way for us to eventually continue with that is to advocate more, especially for that particular stretch of road. But Marlene did ask the question: besides the boom area, where else do we find these animals crossing?
We have the coastal road, so God forbid when they pave the coastal road, I hope they put in mitigation measures to reduce wildlife vehicle collision, because that area definitely a lot of wildlife cross it. That's where I saw a jaguar in the wild driving on the coastal road. They're also on the hummingbird. We actually have a campaign running right now for people to send us photos of tapirs in the wild. Someone submitted a photo of a tapir on the hummingbird highway just outside Armenia.
Just to point out the name of the campaign, it's called Where's Tenuk? That's the one that's running.
Fitting in with the book.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're trying to do a lot to highlight the importance of tapirs in our country, regionally, globally. We're using Tenuk the book. We're using
The bumper sticker, I think.
Yeah, and also
I've also seen tapirs by the entrance to Vista Del Mar. I've seen
Yes,
twice.
That's another, they're frequent
Right,
there.
but they have speed bumps, so I
Yes.
guess that's
Yeah.
that's helping.
but we pick up at least 3 carcass from there already,
Yeah.
including a baby that was days old. When we picked the baby up, the hooves were still soft.
So they're not there.
Yeah.
That's sad.
I could imagine.
And down in southern Belize, our colleagues at Yache had replicated these signs
Yes. I've
on the
seen
southern
that.
highway as well.
Okay.
So that it's a great thing that they are found all over the country. It's great, but at the same time, a point of concern because they are so threatened. And I will point out though, just in light of what happened to the young tapir that was knocked down on Friday, when we went out to retrieve the body, because the food had been sent to Celso, and I was part of the team that went out to get it. It had been removed. And so now and again, even though they're protected by law, now and again you get reports of tapirs being hunted or sought after for meat. So this is just a reminder to the general public that it is illegal to hunt tapir any time of the year. They don't have an open season. They're an endangered species protected by international laws. And it's illegal to hunt or consume them. So if you find a body, or you find any kind of conflict situation with tapirs, call the zoo, call the Tapir Project, call Forestry Department. Don't intervene directly, right?
Give us numbers. This is, it's really mind-boggling, especially to know that people will want to eat them. Then again, we're hitting them. But what are the numbers, just in case?
That.
Yeah, there's a footprint right there on the direct center of the animal.
Yeah, somebody probably just was seeing if
Checking
it was
if
alive.
it was
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
like a caterpillar boots to man. My gosh. But what are the
Forensic,
numbers
Jan, you
in
do the
the
forensic?
event?
Yes,
Right?
In the event,
excellent.
no, because
Tapir
it's,
forensics.
and I keep on saying that taking care of this country and our livelihood, our livestock, it's our animals, our flora, our fauna. It's everybody's business.
Correct.
It's not only you. It's not only we're tapir caretakers as well. But what are the numbers just in the event you see these animals?
The zoo number is 822-8000. That's the Belize Zoo. Tapir Project is 610-2483.
Yeah.
And Forestry is 822-2079.
He's good.
yeah.
All right.
Calls
And so
numbers
if
frequently.
you see one, especially one along the roadside, you should call and perhaps just help.
We get
Correct.
we get a lot of support from the public,
Yes.
especially in the Boom area. Actually, in March we rescued one that was in the Lords Bank area,
Okay.
and we're hoping that she would be releasable. We got a call that there was an injured tapir in a kid's backyard. We went, we found it, and it wasn't doing well. It had
Yeah.
an upper respiratory infection, and the vet with us decided that we cannot leave it there. We cannot.
Take it in.
We have to take it in. So, like, literally, in the night, we took it to the zoo, had the team mobilize, put it in an enclosure. Luckily, we had one extra space for it. Several different vet groups have looked at it. Yesterday, it underwent a full clinical exam. She's an old girl, might not be releasable. She has some hazy stuff over her eyes, look like they have eye problem, but she was hit by a car, and so
That
she
weakened
was,
her.
Yeah, and she was breathing mostly through her mouth, not through her
Through her
nostrils.
nostrils.
Yeah.
And how big is she?
She full adult. I think she weighed in about 390 pounds, but she was very, very thin as well
Yeah,
when
she
we
was
got her.
on-
Are they aggressive to each other? Like if you should put her in another cage with another tapir, are they aggressive with each other?
Well, our keepers are trained, so they do introduction. That happens through a process.
Yeah.
They determine whether they're likable or not to each other. Yeah.
So
We do
some
that.
are antisocial. That's what you're
Yeah,
saying.
they're relatively private animal. They're not really a group animal. They spend
Yeah.
most of the time on their own. So even like the male. So when Fuego unfortunately is not hanging out with his son at the moment because
Oh, he doesn't like his son?
well, yeah, the male to
He's
male
taking up too
dynamic
much
is
of Navidad's time, maybe?
apparently the male to male dynamic isn't usually great. So just for safety, they're separated for right now.
separate
Yes.
them.
It's exciting though to have the public. I think especially what we saw with April and then with Fuego. You know, people love following
Absolutely.
the animals and seeing
Yes.
their growth.
Yeah.
And now we'll get to see one from
Yeah.
birth right
Exactly.
through.
And it really is a pleasure for us to be able to have timed this where we could do that, where we could engage the public
Yeah.
from the beginning
Yes.
with the naming and then Saturday the big reveal.
So Saturday, everybody who goes to the zoo will be able to see
Absolutely.
the baby
Yep.
and find out his name.
Yeah.
And we have some surprise activities as
yeah.
well.
So
at
it's
the
it's
zoo. Yeah, it's
10,
not just
10 to 3
Uh-huh.
Okay.
on Saturday, and we'll have a lot. There'll be a lot of giveaways, a lot of activities for the children, for
That's
the
where
parents
people are
as
going to
well.
guess the weight of the baby.
That's one of the many things we have planned.
Okay.
Yes.
But there's so many other things that would drive people to the Belize Zoo. When national animals are there. But what is the animal that would stand out that would eventually? Oh my God, Celso! We're only kidding. We're only kidding. But we go there. We always see these. We see these animals. We see them over and over. But is there anything right now that is captivating to Belizean that would captivate Belizeans to want to go, especially for this Saturday, besides the tapir?
It's hard to pick a top contender. I mean, we have a lot of the animals we have there are charismatic in their own right.
Yeah.
But it's hard to beat a baby tapir, I have to say.
A lot of people haven't seen a Tommy Goff before, and
Right.
you said that there's
So
one there.
yes, we do have the boas and the fer-de-lance or the Tommy Goff.
Yes.
As you walk in, the first thing you see are the king vultures, a royal family. There's 3 of them. And as you walk in, the first thing you hear are the scarlet macaws, because they let you know they're there, right off on the corner.
Okay.
Junior Buddy, the jaguar, who also has a birthday party, is there. Panama, the harpy eagle. So there's a lot of names that a lot of people know already. They come looking for not a jaguar, a tapir. They come looking for a name. They come looking for Fuego or Panama. Belizeans know these animals by name for years, and so those are their. Everyone has their favorites. But there's plenty for them to see apart from the unnamed watermelon in the screen there.
Abril is going to take it. Abril.
Abril,
You know
vote.
what?
What's
I'll
your
tell
vote,
you
Marlene?
this much. It's something that Belizeans, I'm sure, will eagerly rally behind as we raise a new tapir at the zoo. Once again, though, to protect those that are in the wild, what are the
Absolutely.
numbers that people should call?
The Belize Zoo number is 822-8000. The Belize Tapir Project is 610-2483, and the forestry is 822-2079.
Okay, excellent. So people, if anyone does see a tapir in the wild, they should call in and report it. And if you are traveling on the Boom Road or the Hummingbird Highway, the coastal road,
The Southern Highway.
the Southern Highway, do keep in mind that the animals may be crossing, so consider that, especially if you're speeding.
At night.
At night, yeah. And they're slow-moving animals, I'd
Yes.
imagine. They're so
They don't-
big. Yeah.
They're not
What's
in
the
a rush to
average
get to
size?
anywhere.
In the wild, they're about 500, 550 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So the largest land mammal in this region.
And
So
the males are bigger than the females, or?
females are a little bit larger.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Good.
They have to
Yeah,
defend. They have to defend their babies. They have to be big.
Come out at the zoo this Saturday and see the unveiling of this
Yes.
guy right here.
Do you
Yeah.
get to touch him?
No, but there'll be some close interactions. I'll just put it at that. Yeah.
Okay.
And I know we're competing with Agric, but you can do it on
If
the
you
way
can do it on the
to
way,
or the way
yeah.
back. So
Of course.
10 a.m. to 3 p.m. and you get to meet the baby, soon to be named. It'll either be Sparks,
Tuffy.
Abril,
Abril or
Toffee.
Toffee.
And
And
you get to decide if you go on the Facebook page for the Belize Zoo.
Correct.
All right.
All right.
So we'll see what people will decide. I like Sparks.
Okay, so see, we have
Yeah.
Abril
Yeah.
Sparks. All right, I like it. Competition. Excellent.
Anything else you'd like to share? Of course, you do have the book as well. If people.
Yes, sorry, I forgot to mention our colleague Lee from WCS. You all already did the launch with him. He's been working with us to ensure that we have a supply of these on the day, and so all the children coming to the zoo on Saturday will receive a copy of The Adventure of Tanook. So that's another key part of what's going on Saturday. So all the more reason to come out. There you go. That's some
Anything
quick
else?
work.
Yes.
All right. So this Saturday, Belize Zoo, that's where you want to be. The celebration is all about our national animal, the tapir, and you also get to meet the baby tapir and find out his name as well. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
We're going to go ahead and take a break, and when we come back, we'll be talking to representatives of Stella Maris as they celebrate their 60th anniversary in Belize. So stay tuned.